Hello everyone, it's Natasa from Treasure Books. In this video, we are playing around with bags. Glassine bags, sandwich bags, paper bags, and gift bags or brown paper bags. Any kind of bags you have. And we are making a beautiful collection of journals and junk journaling goodness. Specifically, I'm showcasing 5 different projects.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
From start to finish so that you too can create a collection. Fancy, fancy. 5 tutorials in one video. I hope you enjoy. Let's begin. Okay, I have my supplies ready to go. I have a gift bag like this, paper bags that look like this, and glassine bags. I love glassine bags because they're crunchy and they are transparent. I also spritz this with water, with coffee and tea, so it's not white. We're going for the vintage look, it seems. And then, of course, paper bags like these are sandwich bags, just paper bags, and I think we're going to start off with this one. And the first project that we shall be making is this journal here. So you can see that this entire journal, or the cover at least, is made from a paper sandwich bag. Let's get on with it, shall we? So first thing I'm going to do is crunch it up. Like really get in there, and you might even want to, I don't know, add a little bit of hand lotion to this. Let's have a look. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? The hand lotion, it's just going to give it like more of a satiny feel, and it's going to give it more pliability. It's going to be less papery, I suppose. By the way, I'm just going with this idea. I didn't actually do it on this journal, so we'll see. All right, that's crunched up enough. Now what I'm going to do is just vintage it up a little bit, and I'm just going to go over it with this blending tool and a little bit of, what's it called? Ink. I was going to say I always forget. I don't always forget. I just couldn't remember what this is called at this moment. Anyway, we're trying to make it look really old and vintagey. You don't have to do this. Like, you can just start with the next step and skip this crunching business and the hand cream and all of that. Turn it to the other side. Might be a good idea to let the lotion dry, but who's got the time for that? We're just gonna go right in and make this project. So what I'm noticing with the hand lotion is that my paper is less crunchy, less papery. It's been moisturized, so it's not as dry. I hope that makes sense. I don't know, it feels quite nice. Okay, so you can totally just skip those first 2 things we did and start from here. So now we're going to simply fold it in half. We're making a cover. I want this opening, if your paper bag has this kind of an opening, I want this at the front rather than at the back. That's just personal preference, but I like to have a pocket, in there. So folding in half. Now we can, of course, open the back over here and have a pocket in there as well. I'm not doing that today because I want to do this kind of a thing. So I'm actually going to be sewing on top, or you can glue it or whatever. But we're not going to be opening that pocket. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to give this some strength, the spine especially. I'm using music paper over here. You can use whatever you have, book page or whatever. And I'm just going to sort of rip it a little bit shorter than my cover. And then of course getting rid of the straight edges on the sides. Perfect. And of course I'm going to ink these edges. And now I might even add some stenciling. And the thing is, what I love about this vintage style, or like a grungy style, is that you can do anything and you can't go wrong. Like you can, if you don't have a stencil, you can just darken it up with this, or you can spritz it with coffee and black tea. You can scrunch it, you can add watercolor to it. You can literally, you can't go wrong. And I love that about the grungy vintage. Well, grungy and vintage, slightly different, but I just love that I can do whatever I want and I don't have to be precious with anything that I do. All right, so this is going to give me stability to my journal. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this in right away. And you don't have to worry about paper warping or any of that business because, I mean, look at this. I think this style gives you total freedom when you create. Okay, so the back is glued on and now we're going to repeat on the front. So this video is going to give you many different things, like show you many different things that you can do. Because this idea started off as I'm going to make a glassine bag journal. That's what started it all, because I love the crunch. And then I thought, oh, what if I scrunch up a paper bag? And then I thought, what if I make like a packet, and I go with the theme. So I went with the blue, the dark blue, and the, you know, so it all kind of one thing led to the other. And I enjoyed the process so much and the freedom of this style that of course I wanted to share. All right, now we're going to play around with the cover. So because I've already done one, I'm just going to follow this formula so you can see the steps of getting from here to here. And it seems like so many things that we have to do, but there actually isn't very many things at all. First, I'm gonna go in with some burlap. Again, you use what you have. All right, so I cut my piece about this size, okay, slightly smaller than my journal, and I'm going to glue it down. As you can see over here, I glued it kind of over the top, so we're extending the journal. You can see how this is really thin compared to this. So now we're just adding fun stuff. That's gonna go on the side like this. Next thing I wanna do, what I did over here, I have these carpet, I cut into a carpet catalog. Again, you don't have, maybe you can use something like this. This was on my desk because I want to incorporate it in this project. Maybe you can do something like this, you know, just something with blue. Choose a color. Maybe you want to go with green or with the burgundy or whatever, right? Okay, I'm using this carpet thing. I'm not sure if I finished this thought before. If you don't have burlap, have you got an old curtain or have you got some fabric, or, you know, you're just adding layers. I have burlap, I have carpet, then I have a focal point. Now, I had these pieces pre-made. This was some examples that I did in a video where we're using newspaper, and I was showing some examples of like 10 different ways of using newspaper in junk journals, and then one of them was making like this washi tape kind of thing. And anyway, I have these examples from that video. This is going to be my focal point, right? And then over here I did flowers, and of course I picked out some flowers for this one as well. Just gonna lay them down, see how it looks. But you can see how we're building up the journal, like we're adding little things to give it richness and, I don't know, fun. So now what I'm gonna do, take this off, and I'm going to take this to my sewing machine, these 3 pieces, and stitch this to this. So this to this, just there. And then I might do a stitch here. Okay, I'm gonna film it so you can see what I'm doing. Hello. Okay, so I've got these 3 pieces. We're not stitching anything to the cover. And I'm gonna go and do some stitching. I'm not even gonna go all the way around. Okay, and now I'm gonna do a stitch here because for some reason I didn't do the stitch there when I made this space. I might even do it here. Stitching done. If you don't have a sewing machine, of course you can also add some little hand stitchings because I think it looks beautiful, but you can just stick with glue. And now this is gonna get stuck over here somewhere. I don't want any of these bits going over the spine because, you know, if they do, every time you go to open your journal, that's in the way. So now I'm just going to glue this down and I'm leaving all the threads. Okay, for this project, leaving the threads. And now I'm gonna go in here, add a bit of glue in there, just chuck it in there, add glue all over where the burlap is covered with paper. I don't want glue seeping through the burlap, so I'm not adding any glue on those bits where there's no paper underneath. And glue it down. We don't want any of this extending over the spine, and glue it down. And now I can see that this isn't glued down, so I'm gonna go ahead and add glue in there. Lovely, isn't it? Okay, and now our burlap is gonna fray until it stops fraying, which is until the first, up to that first stitch. So we're gonna go ahead and help it out. Beautiful. Okay, that's stitched in, so that's that one. Now we're gonna go over here. If you're tempted to keep this, keep it, because we can do something like this. We can staple it on, you know, this. We can definitely make this part of the project because we're going for the vintagey style or the grunge. That's looking pretty good. You can see how it's where we're up to. All right, next thing I'm gonna do, I want to add these flowers, but these flowers have these thick centers which I like to remove because I don't want anything too chunky right there on the cover, because then it's in the way of writing. And now just looking for the perfect placement. Perhaps I could just follow my formula from here and do this, or I can do maybe something like this. I don't mind that look, but I kind of like something over here as well. I actually really like this. Oh, decisions. What do we like better? This looks naked over here now. What does one do when one is conflicted? So how about if I do a bit of that? Oh, what do I got on my desk? I have a bit of lace. Maybe I can do lace on this side. Absolutely not. You can see that, right? Look at that straight line, destroying everything. We want to add movement, you know, not like straight lines. All right, here's what I've decided. Maybe not. I can do that and then this, but first, I'll see. I mean, we can't go wrong, right? First, I'm gonna add these flat brads, they're flat, as center of my flowers. Because, of course, I didn't want anything chunky on the flowers, and hence, I'm not gonna use a chunky brad, am I? Okay, I think this is gonna work, especially when I add all the other layers. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this stuff down. Try not to overthink everything, you know. What if I do this here and do that there, and will it be better if I do this? I mean, this can go millions of different ways. Perhaps if you're making this in 2 days' time, well, if I was making this in 2 days' time, I'd probably make completely different decisions and placements. I mean, not that it matters at the end of the day, really. It's just a fun process of like training the eye, I suppose, and collaging and movement, and I don't know. Now we can go ahead and like break this up with something like this. I think I want to keep this from something else, but this just came off of the bottom of 12 by 12 piece of paper, but we could use anything. But a little sentiment in here, for example, something like this, you know, just to break everything else. Fill that in. Anyway, can go so many different ways. Okay, now next thing I want to do is add something over here, a ruffle that's gonna extend this whole journal. It's gonna make it look bigger. Okay, so on the hunt for a piece of material, I actually don't think I have any of that blue material left. This one here, it's the perfect color. Just a little bit of fabric. Am I a bit too close? I think I might be. Okay, I do have this and this. So that's just gonna have to do. I'm going to ruffle this fabric. It's a leftover piece. It's beautiful dark blue. And I'm going to sew it right on top of here. If you don't have a sewing machine, here's another thing that you can do. You can grab your glue, plop a bit of glue down, glue the fabric, and then just keep on doing that, but ruffling the fabric as you go. And you achieve the same result. But I'm gonna sew, and I'm going to do it on camera. Pop that down. I also wish I had a longer piece, so that I could ruffle it even more. I kind of couldn't really ruffle it a lot, but I think it's fine either way. Look at this, like so. You don't have to think about anything, just leave all of this messy business and just have it all crazy. Every time I look at this cover, I feel like it's missing something. So before I continue, I'm just gonna add a tiny little detail right over here, and maybe another little detail just to break it up a bit. Really, anything goes, you know. All right, now we're working on layers, and as you can see over here, the layers over here are composed of what we've just done, which is this, and then of course the pages which are sticking out, and then of course I have this thing inside the pocket. I might make this now. So we have that pocket there, right? And then this is just a little thing. I'm gonna make it now because I want to do this journal, but you can see when it goes in, you know, look at that, how rich. Just very simple details, but quite rich. All right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna use this as my template so that I can fit it into the pocket. So what did I do here? I have to remind myself. I used the file folder. Here we go. File folder, and now I'm just going to trim it down to size at somewhere around here. Of course your paper bag might be a completely different size to mine, so I'm not gonna like tell you specific measurements, but we are of course making a little flip little notepad. All right, so I trimmed it down to size, and basically you want it to fit right inside that pocket. And then, of course, when you add the lace, you want the lace to be sticking out. Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna ink the edges. And now I'm gonna do some stenciling. Because this is such a stark, well, it's not white, but you know, it's, I don't know, very neat looking color. I want to go in and break it up a bit with this stenciling business. Okay, I didn't do a great job, but that's not gonna matter. Now we need something, of course, to go here, like a focal piece kind of thing. And I have these little things that I did years ago. I did them in a tutorial. I called, I think, journal toppers or something like that. And I have all these pieces ready to go. So I might use, I don't really like that one, but I have things like this too that might, these were all like done in tutorials or over the years. Little scrappy little things. I'm just gonna find one that fits. Do I have blue? If you have been following me and making things as we go, you'll have plenty, you'll have a huge stash of things ready to go. When you're making journals, and you can just grab a piece, you don't have to make it. But if you did have to make it, it's simply packaging, book page or music page, a little bit of lace, and an image from a book or whatever image you have. And then you just sew it together or glue it together. And that goes on. And now of course I want to add the lace. The lace is like the most important part of this particular thing, because it's the lace we're after. We're doing the layering. So I'm going to add that lace along the whole, not just the front, but front and the back like this. I'm going to ruffle it up as I'm sewing. So it's going to look like this. You see this? So we get like double the lace, okay? We get more frill. And also, there's no also. That's all we're gonna do for now. I'm gonna take it to my sewing machine and do that. All right, I changed the top thread to this poop color. I don't know if you can see, just so it's not so black. This is kind of like a beige color, but I left the bobbin thread black. Pretty much just because I was lazy to change it, but I like to say it's because I like the contrast, which actually I do like the contrast. And now as I'm sewing, I'm going to be stopping and starting, and I'm going to be ruffling as I go. Look at this beauty. Isn't that just sweet? Chop this off. I might chop the threads off on this one as well. I'm not going to go from here on out. I'm not going to go into so much detail with making the projects because this video will be way too long. But what I did next for this idea is, you can see I grabbed some pieces of paper. This is Easter egg dyed. I have a video on how you can do this. And with the paper, I kind of trimmed it down to fit into, well, I ripped it really to fit inside the little notepad, and I made a little notepad, and that's all that. And then did I sew through? Yeah, I just put it down and just sewn right through, and I have a little notepad. So I'm not actually going to do that now because there's so many other things that I want to show you, and I won't be able to if I go into too much detail, but you can see how it's done. All right, this goes in here, and look at this. Is that, oh, come on now. This is just, I love it, you know. And I'm going to show you the inside of this journal because, again, if I go making signatures and binding, I won't be able to do the other things, and I really want to do the other things as well today. So we have a journal cover. Doesn't this look just so beautiful as a set? Oh, all right. Journal cover ready to go. And now what you can go ahead and do is grab some papers, different types of papers. This is vellum, this is Easter egg dyed. Rip them down and then ink the edges, coloring book pages and tea dyed papers, right? And what is this? Can't remember what dyed paper. And you just rip it down. I don't even have that many pages in there. 7 pages, and then this tiny little thing here. Because why not, okay? And then after you've done that, you can bind it in, and then you can just add little bits if you wanna. If you want a little bit sticking out, a little bit here, a little bit here. You've seen now when I already flipped through the pages. So just adding little things that you have in your stash that you wanna just do a bit more sewing, leave those threads. I usually cut the threads off in all of my projects, but when I'm doing grungy and vintage kind of thing, I love the thread business, but I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. Okay, and then binding, you bind using a 3-hole pamphlet stitch or 5-hole pamphlet stitch. So easy. I have literally, I think pretty much in all of my videos I show how to do that. So you go in, and I'm just not even gonna, because you know, what's the point? We might even do some binding in this video, who knows? But for now, I'm gonna call this project number 1 done and dusted. And we're going to move on to the next thing. But before we move on to the next thing, I just want to add one last little detail on this journal cover because it was just missing. It was missing a little something. It was missing a little lace. Now I'm done with this, and we're going to move on to the next project, which is this one, because it's nice and easy and so fun. Okay, we have a journal in there. We might do the binding on this journal. Then we have a little thing over here. Oh my goodness, look at this. Is this not just fantabulous? And we've got all these little bits. And at the end of the day, what it is, I actually didn't put anything in here. I should. What it is, it's a little stacked bag little thing. And that's what we're gonna do next. And I'm gonna put all of my little things back inside. Oh my goodness, I forgot this. So there's lots of pieces. Well, now I feel like I just have to take everything out again. Let's pretend this is like a Christmas. All right, we're making a Christmas gift, okay? So you can have in here a little something, like let's say stickers, okay? Then in here you can have like a gift card. I don't know, I'm just throwing out ideas. Then in here you can have a tag, and then you can tape a little bit of money on the back. This can be your greeting card. Merry Christmas. Oh, fancy. Okay, then we have, it's just a tag, but we can do, I don't know, something for Christmas. And then, of course, we have a journal, an actual journal. And this is what we shall be making now, even though you probably can just go ahead and make it. You don't need to watch me do it, but we're gonna, because that's what we're here for today. We're gonna do some crafting together. So I have paper bag number 1, paper bag number 2. Of course, you can do whatever you want. Glassine bag number 3. And then a little envelope. I have this one. Purple. It doesn't go. Oh, what to do now? I have this one. We can do something like this. That's not looking bad. I actually like how that looks. Oh yeah, I found it. A little glassine envelope. These were sent to me in Happy Mail. So do we want to follow the same formula? I know what you're saying. I know you're saying this looks better. This looks better. How about we do this and that? We can really stack them up. Okay, we shall start off with grunging our pieces up a little bit. So ink some edges, all the edges. Next, you do whatever you want. Of course, I'm gonna stencil a little bit. You can do the whole scrunching up business like we did for the first one. Most of this will be covered anyway, so I just need a bit of stenciling on the outside. And I'm just gonna stencil on this one as well. Maybe tiny little bit on this one too. All right, that will do. Now, the gluing time. Okay, first one I'm gonna glue down is this one here. And this is going to be a tuck spot. So we're only gluing the 3 sides. And I want the 3 sides within the, I don't want them sticking up or out or anything like that. That's just me. But before I do that, I have this extra piece here. Oh, I forgot to show you this. What was I thinking? These are like, this is also a little tuck spot. Tuck spots at the back. I'm just popping in whatever was on my desk. All right, so we're gonna do that. Yes, let's do that. I have a little offcut piece here that I'm gonna use. I like this blue color, but first actually we're gonna glue this down. All right, so going back to this, pop a bit of glue and down it goes. Perfect, so we've created the first tuck spot. Now I'm gonna go in with this. I'm gonna glue it down somewhere around here. Pop a bit of glue down. Just like so. This is just a little extra piece. You don't really need to add this, but I don't know. I just did, okay? Now this is going to be the tuck spot. So it's gonna be like this. It's a little tuck spot here. So that means I need just a little bit of glue on the bottom, not on the whole thing. Off we go. And glue it down. And now this piece, first I'm gonna fold it down. I don't wanna be closing my tuck spot, so this piece is actually gonna go on the inside like this. It's looking good. So we're gonna apply the glue and off it goes into its little hiding spot in there. Lovely. Oh, very sweet. Now we're going to grab a little bit of lace, a little bit of glue on this edge of the paper bag, not going over the opening here, and pop the lace down. Beautiful. That glue is gonna dry. Okay, now we can start stacking. So first I'm gonna see how this is gonna go. This one can go this way, and this one can go this way, and then this one can go like this. Glue this whole thing down. Don't go all the way to the edges because it'll be difficult putting things in. Here's what I mean, like when you're putting things in, you want it to be able to lift up a bit, otherwise it's gonna rip there. So don't go to the edges with your glue. Now, this one, I don't want to be covering that opening. Stay away from the side edges. Top and bottom edges are okay to be glued down. Just the side edges, you want to leave a bit of space. Glue it down. Lovely. And now this one is also a tuck spot. Perfezione. We have officially created a stacked paper bag thing. Now, we want a bit of lace, then we want some other fun stuff, and I'm gonna glue this just here, like so. And now I have an idea. I was going to do this whole project on screen, but I'm not gonna, because I want to alter this paper bag next, and I haven't actually done it. All of this stuff, these things that I'm showing you, I've already done, and I'm kind of following the formula. This one I haven't yet, and I'm gonna do from start to finish on screen. But we still have this to make, and we still have this full journal to make. I'm simply not gonna have time to do all of it, and I want to. So now what I'm going to do is just talk you through this process. Okay, so the first thing you can see here, I added a little bit of something and I glued down a button. And then next thing I did, this is just scrapbook paper, some tags, and I glued these buttons on. So I'm gonna pop them in. Then I have this tag, again, scrapbook paper, and I don't know, that was painted on the back. And then just a little tag top up the top, a little flower and stuff, and that goes in there. And you can see how adding these things completes the project. Then we have this thing, of course, again, scrapbook paper, that's gonna go in here. Now we wanna create busy things over here, like the ruffle stuff. So all I have here, again, scrapbook paper, and I just took this through my sewing machine. Here's what it is, just tea-dyed cotton that I ripped up and, you know, made this roll that I use in my projects. And I took this to the sewing machine and ruffled like before when I showed you with the lace, but I didn't do it directly onto the project. I actually ruffled it and then I glued it down. I don't have a stitch on this side, you can see. And then just a bit of collage, nothing special. This is all this is scrapbook paper and cutouts from books and stuff. And then when you pop this inside, I like to put it all the way in so that the ruffle is peeking out. And then finally, I created a journal. Again, scrapbook paper folded in half, added some pages, just different things, you know, junk journal style, different types of papers, 3-hole pamphlet stitch. And this is also cut out from a book, and that lives over here. I'm just gonna finish this off so that it looks finished. I'm gonna use this little piece that I have, but I kind of inked it a little bit too much, but that's okay. It will do. Pop it down. Well, of course, we're gonna glue it down. Don't glue the envelope shut or whatever it is that you're using. Grab a little button. This blue one seems to work. It's a little bit too blue. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of paint. I don't know why I said it like that, but here we go. A little bit of paint. Tone down that blueness and glue the button down. Voila, done. We have a pocket and a tuck spot and another pocket and another pocket and another tuck spot and another pocket and another pocket. And it's such a full little thing. This is how it looks when it's full. This is how it looks when it's empty. Big difference. But this embellishing business is such an individual thing. You can do so many different things. But at least you know what I've done, and hopefully it's gonna help your journey. Okay, now this one. So first thing I'm thinking, of course, this is gonna be a pocket. This is gonna be a large place. Maybe we can do a full journal. And then when you put all of these things together, it's almost like a deconstructed journal. There's lots of writing space and lots of things to look at and play around with. So first thing I'm gonna start off with is choosing paper. I want to, of course, stick with the blue theme, so I'm gonna go with this paper and just measure where I want to cut. I want it to go kind of almost all the way to the top, leaving just a slight little edge. So I'm gonna cut here, and then also it needs to stop because we have a fold in there. So I'm gonna look at where that fold is and cut right here. All right, off to cutting I go. Let's check. All right, that's gonna do. So, ink those edges, baby. Okay, and glue that baby down. Sweet. Now I'm thinking, since this paper has this fabulous thing on the back, I'm gonna utilize. You can, I was thinking of like adding another, let's say, different scrapbook paper here and creating a pocket. So we will have a pocket and a pocket. Maybe you can do another one up here and a pocket, up to you, right? But I'm thinking, since I'm gonna utilize this, looks beautiful, I'm gonna pop it right there. Looks like I can even give it a title. I'm going to glue this, but that's also going to be a pocket, so I'm only going to apply glue onto 3 sides, and you can't go wrong. Like, I'm telling myself over here, I was like, where should I glue it? Should I glue it here? Oh, you can't go wrong. Just glue it down. All right, now we're going to cover this ugly business over here. So what have I got on my desk? Let's have a little looky look. I have some scraps. I kind of hate double-sided paper because both sides are fabulous, and then when you're gluing one side down, you feel bad for the other side. Yep, I'm gonna go with this one. Just came out of a 6x6 pad. Don't ask me what pad or what, you know. I find all of this stuff secondhand. Well, a lot of it anyway. I need to cut it down to size, so I'm just gonna mark and get to cutting. Lovely. Oh, stop it. Let's try that again. And checking the size. Beautiful, but kind of empty looking. What do I have? I have butterflies. Somehow I don't think this is gonna look good. There's only one way to find out. I'm not gonna actually glue it down. I don't like how that looks. No, that's all right. We'll think of something. How about this? Will this look good? I don't mind that. But first things first, let's glue this down. I'm just gonna glue the whole thing down. I'm not gonna create a pocket or any of that business. Perfect. And ink the edge. In fact, just ink the whole thing, or not. Okay, now I am going to glue this and this, and that's going to be a little duck, not duck. And glue. Now, from previous experience, I find that it wants to open, which is unacceptable. No, so perhaps we will do something like this just for the time being. Hold it closed just for a minute or so, show it who the boss is. And now I'm just going to decide if I want this here. Look at that, perfect size. What do you think? What do you think? There, this blue paper is from Kaiser Craft, in case you want to know. All right, now that that's glued down, we need something here. I always seem to reach for butterflies, and the thing is, like, now I'm feeling like this is becoming the focal point, and then we have a focal point and it's competing. Another thing we can do is like look at different colors. I think this one looks better. We can do something like this, for example. I mean, you just try things out and see what works. You can do a little bow. Would a bow work? Let's see. Actually not too bad. With a little handmade with love button. I would make it look nicer, of course. That doesn't look like much of a bow at the moment, but I just have a bit of a love affair with butterflies, so I'm just gonna go with the butterfly. Surprise, surprise. You can do a sentiment there. You can do a little quote. I should have done a quote. I have like a quote book, and then you can rip the edges and, you know, that kind of a thing. Now, add a bit of lace. Should we add some flowers? Yep. I'm gonna do the thing with the brads again with the flowers, because I just like the gold better than this middle yellow. Okay, the flowers are ready to go with the brads, but before I glue them down, I want to cover the back over here, just so I have a nice flat surface. I could use this one, but I don't wanna, you see? So I'm just gonna go in with this one because I don't really like this stuff over here. It doesn't really matter. And we can do pockets and all sorts of stuff here, but I won't, or maybe I will. First, I'm gonna cut it down to size, apply the glue, and glue it down. Okay, that's the back done. I'm just quickly gonna check my leftovers over here. Maybe I can do a pocket, and yes, definitely we can do all sorts of stuff on the back, but we have other things to do right now. So let me go back to the front and glue the flowers down, and there we go. Something like that, I think it was. I forgot the placement, but it doesn't matter. This white business here is driving me a little bit nuts. So, oh, where's that thing? How about I do this? Studio. Well, I would prefer like art or something. I can stamp art, or I don't know. I like this. I'm just gonna go with this. No overthinking. We have work to do, because next thing I'm going to do is something for here. What are we gonna do here? I'm going to my scraps. This pocket isn't actually very deep, and I don't want, you know, I don't want to be covering any of that. So I feel kind of bad cutting into this nice scrap of paper. I'm gonna make a small little tag. I don't want to waste too much time here because I still want to make a journal to go in there, plus all the other things. I wasn't actually planning for this to be a video. I just started creating these, I don't know what I'm gonna call it yet, because I wasn't planning for it to be a video. I just wanted to create something, and then I pulled out some things and started making stuff, and I really loved how it looks. So here I am. I'll make 3 tags. Ooh la la. Okay, my 3 tags are done. Doesn't look great. What about if I add some buttonage, and more buttonage? Buttonage it is. Ooh, close up. That glue is gonna dry clear. And now, of course, we have a little tuck spot in there. Looking through my little stasharoo of tags, maybe. Yeah, I think that'll do. This is wallpaper, and I just used my tag dies. Who knows when? A long time ago. It's good to have things on hand, and I'm loving how this color ties in with the butterfly down here, so it kind of brings it to life. Okay, that's quite a bit of layering. You can see how all that layering, you know, it just makes it more fun. We can layer away. We can add something here, little ruffle. How would that look? We won't know until we find out. I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and ruffle it up, and I'll be right back. I think it looks good. Yep, I like it. Do I like the black thread? Do I want to do wiggly business? What do you think of the wiggly business? Or straight business? I'll probably do straight. Apply the glue just to the middle where the stitch is. Oh, pretty. So pretty. Especially when it's put together with the other pieces. You'll see that in a moment. You know, you see kind of the theme running through. We're doing the blue, we're doing the vintage, we're doing the ruffling, and you can see the ruffling over here and here and here. All right, back to the task at hand. The last thing I want to do for this piece is I want to make a journal to go in there. I just simply must. So we have the tuck, the journal in here, and then we can have pocket on the back. You can have postage stamps, so much fun stuff. Okay, but I'm gonna go with the journal. So first thing, I have this piece of paper on my desk. Actually, I don't think it's gonna work for this paper bag because I want something wider. All right, so that's not gonna do. How about this? Or even better, this. Oh, I think this is the way to go. This is gonna be my journal cover. So just need to see if I need to trim it. And yes, I do. First, I'm gonna work on the height. The journal is going to, it's not gonna go into the first section here because it gets stuck in here because we've glued this down. So the journal has to go into this back section, and it can go all the way down. Okay, can go all the way down. So I'm going to check the height of my journal. Okay, I've trimmed this down and I've also trimmed the sides a little bit. So I'm just going to double check. Okay, I think that will do. Let's test it out. Here's what I'm talking about. If I try to put the journal in here, it's gonna stop there because this flap has been glued up, right? So this front piece ends here. So, I mean, that's not really that important, but anyway, you can have shorter stuff in there. The journal goes to the back section like this. Oh, pretty. Well, you can't really see it. I mean, the bag is pretty. I'm thinking we can do little bows. What about a little bow? No, I don't like it. Back to the journal. Okay, we are officially now making a journal, and we're gonna make this real fancy. Or are we? I don't know. I haven't made it yet. I hope so. So first of all, grunge it up. Get rid of that white. This is why I'm obsessed with inking all the edges. Look at how this looks. It looks kind of finished. And then at the back, it looks blunt. It looks cut. That's without the inking. And this is with inking. Big difference. Then we can go in and like really grunge it up. How vintagey do we want it? Okay, next thing, grab some pages. I'm gonna start with the crunchy vellum page, and I don't want any straight edges, or maybe I do, who knows. I'm gonna fold this in half. I might have the pages sticking out. You may want to cut your edges straight, totally up to you. I'm gonna do this. Hello, Banjo. Want to come say hello? Come. Hello. I'm just gonna nestle the pages together just to see how it looks. Here's how that's looking before inking. And here's how it's looking after inking. I admit inking the edges is very boring, but it is totally worth it in a journal like this. So all the edges look like burnt almost. All right, now before I do the binding, or before you do the binding, pull out your things that you have. Here's just some few little bits and pieces that I have for when I need a little something, and then I can just randomly ink some stuff and then glue some stuff. I mean, you can do this after you bind, but I actually also want to take it to my sewing machine. I just have to be mindful not to have any of my bits sticking out. Even though that would look so good, I can't have it in that paper bag if I do that. So I'll do all of this business off camera, and I'll be right back to show you what I've got. Oh wow, look at this. Isn't this exactly the same as this front piece that I used over here? Oh, here's what I've done. I just added a little bit of sewing onto some of the pages, not all of the pages. And I admit I could have been a little bit more adventurous with this journal, I suppose, but to be honest with you, I have a lot of washing I need to put up, and I'm still working over here. So I ran out of thread, and then I don't know how well you can see, but I love this idea. When I rethreaded, I swapped. So I have black thread in the bobbin, and then I have the other thread up the top. And when I ran out, I had to stop sewing and rethread and all of that, but then I swapped, right? So now I don't know how well you can see, I have black thread and then brown thread. Oh, isn't that a little bit fancy? It's just a little detail. So I didn't even put stuff on every page. Anyway, that's what I've got. It's looking nice and grungy and just the way I like it. I'm keeping the threads. And now we're ready for binding. That goes in there. I don't know, I might even chop off the threads. See how I feel after. Let's bind this baby. Needle and thread ready. I'm just using crochet thread. Pokey tool ready. Find the middle. You know this. You know this. But I can't do like an incomplete demonstration. So here I am showing the 3-hole pamphlet stitch for the millionth time. Out through the middle hole, in through the top hole and then out through the bottom hole and back in through the middle hole. How easy was that? All right, we're going to tighten and tie a knot. So I actually have to go and do housework now. Who invented that? Which is why I was in a little bit of a rush. It's, you know, it takes time. These things take time. So we shall continue. For you, it will be right now in this video, but I'm actually going to film the next segment in 2 days' time because, like I said, now I have to go and do all the adulting, you know. So I'm gonna finish filming in 2 days' time, and then I will edit, and you will get it all in one little package. But the thing is, I gotta do all the other stuff. How boring. Let's just have a quick look. So if I had all the time in the world, of course, I would do the back as well. And I'm feeling like I could add a little something here. Maybe I would even stitch around the handles with blue, what's it called, embroidery thread. And then we can add more stuff in here. Oh, I forgot something. I wanted to add a little book plate. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna call it done. All right, I think that completes it. Oh, a little transparent sticker would look nice there, but I really have to go. I just gotta go. And the journal lives in here. How fabulous is this project? I love this. Altering a paper bag. Did I do a video like this in the past? I can't remember. I have done this sort of stuff in the past. Okay, so far we have this, and we have this, and we have this all done. Today we're going to do this and the altered file folder. I don't even know if I've shown you this. The altered file folder thing. All right, anyway, I'll see you shortly. Well, hello, it's 2 days later and I'm ready to rock and roll. I figure let's do this one first and leave the altered file folder for the finale. Okay, we're making a glassine bag little journal. You can use any bag you have if you don't have glassine bag. And we're just gonna make a little journal. We have a glassine bag that I spritzed with some black tea. We're gonna fold it in half. So, by the way, I made this mixture of black tea and coffee. It looks very foamy now. It's a spray bottle. It looks very foamy because I just was spraying some stuff before starting filming. But anyway, I have this bottle, and then when I need something kind of quick, I will just spray it and it's dry very quickly, rather than submerging the whole thing into the mixture, if that makes sense. So that's how this is done. And plus then you get these nice, you know, little marks on it. Now that that's folded in half, we're going to cut this opening here so that we have a pocket at the back as well. And now let's make this a little bit sturdy. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. I'm gonna go with an avocado dyed paper doily. You can just use white doily or a book page. You can use whatever you want. And you know what? I'm not even gonna ink the edges because we have to speed through. We have things to do. Alrighty. Gluing that baby down, turn it around. So at this stage we are beautifying and reinforcing at the same time. Next I'm gonna grab another paper doily. Look how organized I am. I actually have everything ready to go. And this one's tea dyed. I'm just bragging that I'm organized because, well, I got everything ready last night, so why not? Why not brag a little? Okay, we're gonna do this kind of thing. We're layering, isn't that pretty? You can make a whole bunch of these. You can do like a mess making sesh with just these glassine bag journals. I think that's a fabulous idea. All right. Now, I'm following the same thing I've done over here, which is how I could get organized ahead of time. Okay, now I've got some cheesecloth and I'm just gonna cut it down. This is actually very bad quality cheesecloth. It's very holey, and you know, it's what I have in my stash, and I actually am using three. Well, there's no need for 3 layers. Let's just do 2 layers. And I'm just gonna do this. And with this kind of a style, the vintagey grunge style, I probably said that already in this video. Can't remember what I said 2 days ago. but anything goes. Next thing we need is a little bit of lace, if you want. Now I'm gonna grab some thread. See, all of this thing, because I've already made one. I've already spent all the time thinking, what else do I need and all that kind of stuff. So now I can just follow what I've done before. I don't have to think. That's why I love mess making projects, where you make one and then you make a whole heap. All right, I have thread. We're just gonna chuck it on there. A bit closer now. Now, next thing I need is a tag. So I'm gonna grab my offcut and I'm going to make that into a tag shape. Tag shape is done, and now I'm gonna apply some of this blue lace. I'm actually going to ruffle it, you know, on my sewing machine. I'll be right back. And here I am. I'm gonna leave the threads. The threads add grunge and character. It's going to be like this, kind of covering my doily over here, but you know, and covering this one as well. So it's kind of like a little bit pointless, maybe. Kind of like those mixed media projects where you do all this painting and stuff and then everything is covered in the end. I don't know, maybe it's not like that at all. But the reason why I turned it around is because I wanted to show you, you can still see it on the back. I don't know if that redeems this whole thing. We shall add a little bit of this. I can't believe I only have this little piece left. And this really is the kind of blue that goes really well with what I envisioned for this project. All right, now we're going to do this. We can sew it, we can staple it. I'm gonna staple it, shorten, looking quite nice. Okay, next we need a little flower. Remove all the plastic bits. Flower ready. Grab a little brad, pop it through the flower, and then through the tag, or glue it on. Totes, up to you, darling. Have you heard that song? Hands off, Gabriella. Gabriella, hands off, Gabriella, la la. Yeah, it's all the young ones know that song now. It's like one of those things. I don't know if it's viral or something. I have no idea, but it's stuck in my head. And I am pretty sure there's a song from the 70s, maybe 80s. I thought it was Gloria. Gloria, Gloria. No, how does it go? Anyway, let's stick to crafting. More crafting, less singing. How about that? All right, I'm going to do these flowers. I'm going to do these flowers after everything's done. So this is ready to go. So now I'm going to just plop glue in there. Or maybe even, oh, the glue decided to plop itself out of there. I'm just going to actually plop the glue all over this tag. So what I wanted to say, and with that song, Gabriella, that's stuck in my head that everyone's singing. Well, I only know that song because of my young daughter, and then they see, she doesn't have TikTok, but anyway, she has friends at school and all that kind of stuff, and I think it's like a TikTok dancey song, and it's trending or something, and the song is about Gabriella, you can have like anyone you want, hands off my fella, you know, Gabriella, hands off my fella. This girl, Gabriella, and she can have anyone she wants, and now I'm begging you, Gabriella, hands off my fella, kind of thing, you know? Anyway, it's a very catchy song. And then as I was listening to that song, I'm thinking, hang on a second, isn't this pretty much the same thing as Jolene? Dolly Parton, Jolene. Everything is recycled. Like all the songs have been done. This has been done before. It's almost like the world is running out of ideas. It's very strange. Like I used to watch The Bold and the Beautiful. It's a soap opera. And I used to watch it many years ago for a very, very long time. And then I got sick of it and stopped watching it. I watched it probably for about 20 years. And lately, sometimes I put the TV on just to see like what's going on now. And everything that's happening now is exactly the same thing that was happening 20 years ago. Exact same storylines. We have people coming back from the dead. We have Regent, Brooke, and Taylor triangle love circle, whatever it's called. Reg is always deciding who the woman is for him, and then Taylor and Brooke are always like competing, and it's ridiculous. In 2025, women are still watching this. I can't believe it. Women are watching other women compete over a man. And then there was another storyline where they went to a party and put on a mask and then had relations with somebody they shouldn't have had relations with, and the person having relations didn't realize because this other person was wearing a mask that was only covering their eyes, and basically, and anyway, and that is the current storyline. And there was the exact same storyline 20 or so years ago where Brooke wore the mask and then she thought she was having relations with Ridge, but it was actually her daughter's husband or boyfriend. It's just, why am I even going into this? I'll stop now. I have no idea why I went down. Anyway, I prepared some pages, and now before I bind the pages in, I'm just showing you kind of what kind of paper I have in there. This is Easter egg dyed paper. I love how it looks like this. It's absolutely stunning. And before I bind it, I want to have this kind of a business. I want to have this ruffle on the side. So something like this, burgundy and dark blue, navy blue goes really beautifully together. This here is ribbon, and I'm going to use this to sew it onto the pages. And I love this because it has wire. Usually I remove the wire, but actually having the wire means that you can maneuver this ruffle the way that you like. Does that make sense? Because sometimes ribbon can kind of do its own thing. So anyway, this is what I'm using. And then for the burgundy, just these little, I was going to say offcuts. I suppose they are offcuts. Okay, I'm going to go and sew that on, and I will be right back. Editing Natasha here. I realized, now that I'm editing the video and everything is done, that I didn't show you this heart, but I showed you in the introduction. So this was my inspiration for this project, and especially this blue color. I didn't make this heart. My mom made this heart. She makes them and sells them at markets, amongst other things. I don't actually know how to make this, so perhaps I can get my mom to teach me, and then I can show you. Is that something you would like? Let me know. All right, here we go. Bit of sewing done. And now see, with this wire ribbon, you can, usually ribbon kind of wants to sit up weirdly up the top like this, but I'm loving this wire ribbon because you can just beat it into submission. Nice and flat. Oh, beautiful. All right, signatures are done. Well, signature is done. I am just going to pop this one in here. And now we have created, perhaps we can cut off the threads. Maybe this one here. I had a bit of a boo-boo there, so I had to start again. And now we have this kind of a thing. And then when it goes inside our beautiful, crunchy Glassine Bag journal, it peeks out gorgeously. We love that. So next thing we're going to do is binding. I can speed all of this up because we've already covered that in this tutorial. I'm gonna bind using this burgundy thread. All right, I prepared this ahead of time because it's pretty straightforward. Here I just use a scrapbook paper and did a little bit of a collagey thing. I have a book page, I have a little thing, journaling spot. Well, this whole thing is a journaling spot, I suppose, and a dragonfly sticker. And I made the size so that it adds an extra layer. You see that? It's adding a layer. I can even have it, perhaps I can shorten this a little bit. I don't mind it like that. And then this goes to the back, and of course whatever you put in the back helps to strengthen this flimsy business over here. So you can even glue something on top of here or on the back, totally up to you. I have to move on because we still have the grand finale. Yes, on this one I just did a bit of leftover strip of paper just to kind of hide that seam there, and then the same thing in there. The next thing we're going to make, first I'm going to show you. All right, so this is an altered file folder, and I have this closure on there that opens like that, but I'm just going to slide it off so I don't have to, I don't know, it's easier to just look at this perfect bow. Pretty much that's the only reason. I just want to keep that perfect bow. So that's the closure. It doesn't even really need a closure. And this is an altered file folder. We're gonna make this thing right now. So here at the front we have a pocket, and I have this large journaling space or spot in there. That's the front cover. At the back there is also a pocket, but I didn't actually put anything in there. Looking for a piece of scrap. Here we go. So we're creating that. And of course at the back we also have a large pocket and a journal in the middle. All right, so we're gonna make this exact thing, but it will be different because I don't have this particular scrapbook paper. All right, since it's an altered file folder, of course you're going to need some sort of a file folder. So this is what I have, and this is how it looks. They all look different. You might have something that looks like this, or something that looks like this. You might have ones with tabs, whatever. It's all the same thing. They're usually long like that, narrow, and then you open it for documents. All right, so we're gonna put it this way, and we're going to fold it in half. I actually have this thing sticking out, so I'm just gonna fold it to this line. Hands of Gabriella. In half it has been folded. Lovely. This is going to be the size of the journal. Next thing we're going to do is cover the spine with a book page, or if you don't have a large book page, maybe 2 book pages. I just need to trim this down a little tiny bit. I'm gonna use 2 book pages, so I trim them down at the same time so they're the same height. Okay, and now I'm just gonna ink the top and bottom edge and fold over and glue it down. That's the front done, and now the back. Perfect. Now we're going to create a pocket here, and I'm just going to cut this off and rip this. I might round the corners, just these 2 corners, and ink all the edges. Because we will be creating a pocket here, I'm not going to glue the whole thing down. We're going to have a pocket, so I'm just going to glue the 3 sides down. And down it goes. Okay, so that's the back done. We have a pocket going on, and now we're going to do the front. So here we're going to go in with some pretty scrapbook paper. I wish I had more of this butterfly one, but I only had this one piece. So for this one, I am going to use this. And I'm just going to mark myself the height that I need. I'm going to go with the same height as the book page underneath. And for the width, somewhere here. And cut it down to size. Okay, let's see. Perfect. I'm going to round this corner, only because this corner is rounded. And of course, ink the edges and apply glue all over. And glue that baby down. Okay, now I have this thing peeking out, so I want to cover that as well. And I'm gonna use this offcut. It means that the writing is gonna be like this rather than like this, but I really like the look of this, so I'm gonna use it. Measure the height that I need and the width and trim it down. Perfect. Round the corners, ink the edges, and saturate in glue. I'm gonna go in with my glue stick first, and then the real deal. And then glue it down. Isn't that pretty? That's looking quite nice. Now, before I continue, I'm gonna go ahead and ink all of these edges as well. All the edges. On the outside and on the inside too. I might even do a little bit of stenciling. Can't go wrong. That's all I've done on the inside. And now we're ready for some decorating. I suppose we could do binding, like getting our pages ready and binding first. But I'm gonna finish the cover and then I'll do the pages. So first of all, I have this left over from before. And of course, I did it on the other one. So of course, I'm gonna do it on this one. So that's gonna go over here. I just wanna see how it's all gonna look. I'm doing exactly the same thing as I've done on my previous one. Just gonna see how that's gonna work. I have a doily there. Then I'm gonna do this and a little button. I wish this was a little thicker. Maybe I can make myself another ruffle and then have two. Maybe I can do like a little squiggly. Squiggly doesn't have to be straight. I don't know, we'll see. Or I'm just testing. That's not really adding much. I'm gonna make another ruffle and see how two ruffles look. Okay, ruffle made. Let's see. This one's a bit thicker, so it looks a little bit better. How do two ruffles look? Not too bad, but I'm just gonna go with one. And I wonder if I should glue it a little bit squiggly. I'm just gonna do a bit of stenciling here first because it's so white. Apply a bit of glue onto the ruffle, just there in the middle. Plop it down and maneuver into place. That'll do. Now going back to this, maybe I'll do a little sentiment. It's too tiny, so we can make it look better by layering pieces underneath. I'll just use the back of this scrap. Okay, still not really rocking my boat, so I'm gonna add two pieces of lace, one here. And then another one on top. All right, lace is down. I'm gonna glue this doily down next. And now with these three pieces, I'm going to stitch them together, and then I'm gonna leave the threads long, and you'll see why in a moment. Easy peasy. Tie a knot and double knot and long threads. Doesn't have to be that long. Okay, checking. Lovely. I'm gonna glue that on. So pretty. Okay, threads happening. They don't have to be this long. My little sentiment goes here. And I'm feeling that maybe a little book plate might be nice. Makes it look a little bit better. So I'm gonna go with the book plate. Glue this bad boy down first. I think I'm gonna use brads here. I was planning to just glue it down, but I'll go with the brads. Luckily I didn't do the binding yet, so I can fully open this. Oh, beautiful. Put my little squishy mat underneath. Get the placement right. Poke some holes. Add a bit of glue because it can't hurt. Plop it down. Go in with the brads. Brad 1 is in. Brad 2, excellent. Go onto the inside and fasten the brads. I might pop a little bit of masking tape just to make sure that things don't get caught in the little feet. And let's see. I'm quite happy. That looks quite nice. Okay, now we will come back to this in a moment, the little strings and stuff. Now we're ready to bind in our pages. We don't have to do anything with this. We can just leave it as it is and get my pages ready, my signature, to bind it into the book. Now, to save time, of course, I come prepared. I made my signature last night. I'm just going to show you what I've got. It's pretty much the same as I've done previously in a booklet that I've shown you. I make sure I have ripped edges. I added a little bit of sewing and some little things sticking out and all different types of paper. And I have 5, 6, just stuff like that, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 sheets folded in half. Some have sewing, some have bits and pieces sticking out like this. You can do tabs and all sorts of stuff. And here we go, signature ready to be bound into my book. I just need to check that everything fits in there. A little bit of sticky outage, that's fine, because I prepared it obviously before I had the cover ready. So anyway, now let's bind. I might actually even do it off camera because we've already done it, but basically I just want to tell you that you see how this is open. Well, once we bind the signature in, of course this is going to be secured, and then this will be like a pocket like this. I don't know how well you can see. So really, to keep this nice and closed, I suppose, I want to get my holes quite high up and quite low. I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna go middle and then top, but quite high up. Like, you can do your top hole any way you want, but I'm gonna go all the way up here and then all the way down here. All right, and I'm gonna do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch and I'll be right back. Here we go, we have been stitched, and of course leave these threads long as well. We'll come back to the strings momentarily. We're nearly done with this. So I just want to show what I'm gonna put in the pocket. So I have, as you know, these large pockets, and I use these large book images. This is from a children's book. I prepared it in advance, of course, because we need to speed it up. And I backed it onto some cardstock, and it's a bit of stenciling, a bit of sewing. This is a journaling spot. You know what the deal is. This one lives in here. I have a little thing sticking out, little tab, and then I did the same thing for the back. I also used an image from a book, a children's book. I have a little tab over here, and same thing on the back. So this lives in the back pocket, and the little tab is sitting underneath the first tab. And now we shall deal with this. So I'm going to use this scrap piece of paper, and I'm gonna punch out some hearts. We need 8. I'm gonna ink the edges of each heart. And now we're gonna do these strings first. I want one short one and one longer one. Oh, could have been longer than that, but it is what it is. Apply glue onto the heart, pop underneath the string, glue onto the next heart, and pop right on top. And repeat on this string. How pretty! Okay, now that that's done, we're going to do exactly the same on these strings here. Voila! So pretty! And now we can move on to the next and final step, which is the closure, because I don't like this. If you put this under something heavy, it will help the situation if you don't want to have a closure. You can, of course, do the closure as part of the binding and part of the journal, but then I want a removable closure because, of course, we have a pocket here that I haven't done anything with, but doesn't matter. The pocket is there. And now, for the closure, I'm going to use this glittery roll that I have. I found this in a $2 shop. It's quite glittery. I'm not a huge fan, but I think it looks so good. Something wide. See how wide this is? But then when you scrunch it up, because it's such a thin material, it doesn't give you like this huge massive bow. All right. And then I think once I make the bow, I can remove the closure just by taking it off, rather than making like undoing the bow and making the bow each time, simply because of this, the way this material is. But anyway, you can use a bit of wide lace, whatever you have really. Let's tie that bow and call this Berber done. Tips of making the perfect bow. Here we go. You ready? So first, of course, you know you want to make a knot. But the knot that you make, you want this right hand piece to be going down. You see that? The right hand piece is going down and the left one is going up. So I want this one down, okay? It's just the way you tie it. Then you make a loop, as you do. Let's make a bigger loop. Perfect, a nice big loop. Now, you can tie a bow going over your thumb like this, but don't do it that way, because that way you won't get the perfect bow where these strands sit down. You will have one going up. We don't want that. So you go under the loop, all right? And then you tie the bow. I'll do it again. And tighten the bow. And then you can make the bow pretty. We'll do that next. I'm just going to do the bow tying business. One more time. I've shown this before. I know I have, but it doesn't hurt to do it again. All right, so you want the right piece to be coming down. Right hand piece coming down. Holding it nice and tight. We're going to make a loop. And then we're going to go under the loop and over the thumb like this. And then we're going to go through that little hole we have in there. You know how to tie a bow. And bring it through and tighten. And now you see how we have both of our, what's this called? tails. Both of the tails are sitting down rather than one going down and one going up. Like this. I'm going to do it the other way where I go over the thumb and then down. See how this happens? Do you see this? What kind of a bow is this? What is this? Oh, we don't want that. We want this. Look at this prettiness. Can you see? That's what we want. Loop, under the loop, over the thumb, through the hole, and tighten. And look at that prettiness. And now we can like really, we can really beautify. We can do this. Oh yeah. And then over here. Oh yeah. Oh, how pretty. Oh, pretty, pretty. Okay, stop saying pretty. Now we shall chop the excess off. And it's done. It is done. Look at these gorgeous beauties. So on this one I have pink hearts and I left the strings longer, as you can see. And then you see pink anyway. Such minor little things. Now let's see, what do we make today? We have an altered file folder journal, and then we have an altered gift bag and stacked paper bags. Let's put it on top over here because not everything can fit. And then we have a paper bag journal. How cool. And then we have a Glassine Bag journal. Wow, 5 projects in one video. And I love, love, love this collection. So I'm probably going to sell this as a collection like this. I think it's gorgeous. You can have a bow on top of all of these things. It's like a deconstructed journal, isn't it? All these different elements. I'm quite happy with how this turned out. And I just want to say one last thing. Number 1, vintage and grungy style is very easy to do because you don't have to be precious. You can scrunch things up. You can even have glue seeping through and it's not even going to be visible because it's just so busy. Number 2, if you're making a collection, you want to make it cohesive. Like I can see here a lot of white and a lot of white, so I wouldn't mind a bit more blue like this one. But when you're making a collection, you want to kind of tie it all in with one type of a color or 2 colors. Like we have a lot of beige going on, beige, 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 and blue. So if I just swap these 2, you can see how much more appealing to the eye this one is, because it's got blue here and it's tying in with everything. And perhaps if on this one I added something a little bit more, I don't know, just a little bit more blue, that doesn't really sit well there. But what I'm trying to say is like tying it all together with one color. And the thing, when you're working with color, you will find that not all blues go well together. So you have to kind of find the right shade. For me, it was this dark-ish blue rather than this type of a blue. This type of a blue kind of, for me anyway, even though that's kind of similar, it just, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. Or like this blue, for example. Imagine if I had these tags instead of this vintagey color. Imagine if I had the blue. It pops at you. You don't want anything jumping out. You want everything nice and cohesive and calm. And, I think you know where I'm going with this. So I'm going to stop talking now. I am really looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Is this too overwhelming to have 5 projects in one video or not? Let me know. Maybe you could also let me know what you would like to see from me next. I have so many ideas. I don't know where to go first. And this one wasn't even planned. I started making it and then I just wanted to make a video and here I am. So let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye.